the first to know Nsem-Pii TV.
Sir, open media station baako a since a NPP amanyɔkuo no ɛbɛtena akonnwa so ɔma wɔn enya asomdwie paa deɛ a ɛne ntumi nka na onyi media general mfa mfiri mu na Captain Smart koraa deɛ sɛ ɔsɔ vice president yɛwura Dr. Mahmood Bawumia ɛna afei his excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo mu koraa na ayɛ mmɔbɔ ɛne na Dr. Mahmood Bawumia nim nyansa adeɛ kye a Dr. Mahmood Bawumia adwene sua ɛne adeɛ kye a Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo nim amamuo ɛne atɛmdidie kra ewom a ebi ɛwɔ hɔ kra National Media Commission kra ka sɛ ɛde Captain Smart onua TV ɛne media general kra akɔ akɔpie mu ɛwɔ hɔ na sa Captain Smart onua TV ɛna afei TV3 sɛ yɛbɛhwɛ a wɔn ɛwɔ program bi a wɔn ɛfrɛ no keynote wobɛkɔ mu no na yɛafa NPP amanyɔkuo no nipa baako na yɛafa NDC amanyɔkuo nipa 4 na ɔmo te hɔ na ɔmo kasa nti nipa baako against nipa 4 sɛi ɛna wɔn ɛbɛkasa a wɔn ɛbɛtie na NPP amanyɔkuo no sɛ wɔn ayɛ nhwɛhan akyɛ ɛbrɛdu sɛ wɔn nso etimi etu anamɔn ɛde ɛfada media general ne kwan a wɔn ɛfa so egu NPP amanyɔkuo no anim ase wɔn ɛnka biribi papa da bia NPP amanyɔkuo no ayɛ biribi bɔne na krataa bɛyi ɛna NPP amanyɔkuo no ɛde aba abɛtu edwa ɔsi media general platforms has been treating our presidential candidate Dr. Mahmood Bawumia, communicators and the top brass of the party with a horrid pattern of injustice. Day in and day out, media general platforms are used to smear our presidential candidate for no apparent or logical reason. TV3, Onua TV, and their affiliate radio station across the country have become platforms used to undermine our candidate, fabricate stories about him, and throw dirt at his personality. In the TV3, anyone affiliate, media general affiliate stations, ne deɛ sɛ wobɛpie mu akoma FM ɛno koraa deɛ ɛnyɛ asɛm kotoa TV3 ɛne ɛnyɛ asɛm kotoa wobɛpie mu ɛwɔ Onua TV ɛne Onua FM nso a ne nyinaa nso ɛnyɛ asɛm kotoa da bia Dr. Mahmood Bawumia ɛnyɛ papa da bia Dr. Mahmood Bawumia ayɛ bɔne. Hosts of the stations consistently show raw hatred towards Dr. Bawumia and insult him at will. They invent falsehood and throw them out there against the candidate. Enti host one hosti one program Captain Smart and the first person one can who asem say the wa Captain Smart me di Dr. Mahmood Bawumia tem no eya na ebi wo ho very sad and sakra na Johnny Hacks and one aka keke ka ho nsɛm a wɔn de ka de fa Dr. Mahmood Bawumia ho ne aduana ba Kofi Asante ɔno nso akɔma FM ne nyinaa ɛyɛ na ɛnyɛ asɛm kotoa na wɔn ayɛ nhwɛhan nso akyɛ a ɛbrɛdu sɛ wɔn nso etimi ɛkasa mu. Dr. Bawumia has become an object of the derision in the eyes of these half-back radio and television stations and their hosts. They twist issue and embellish stories just to make our candidate look monstrous in the eyes of the Ghana populace. Our communicators are always outnumbered in all of the programs on media general platforms. On some occasion, we would see one NPP representative and 4 NDC aligned panelists with the host supporting the visions articulated by the NDC's reps. Onua TV is just an outfit created to heap all manner of invectives on Dr. Bawumia and our party top guns. Ministers are constantly subjected to verbal abuse by the hosts of the show. Inti Captain Smart assembly can and now Captain Smart say road minister akwa contract bi ade achi ayese ye kwa akwa sika de free IMF for ho e de abaki no foriata ewom 10% ni nyina asa na Captain Smart boa nsɛm na ɔka no nyina ɛnyɛ adeɛ sɛ ɛwɔ nyinasoɔ biara ɛne adeɛ kye adeɛ sɛ nyinase yɛgu Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia anim ase yɛgu NPP amanyɔkuo anim ase no ɛyɛ ana ɛnyɛ asɛm kotoa ne nyinaa na NPP amanyɔkuo sɛ wɔn ɛde wɔn ani ɛna ɛrehwɛ adeɛ din. On TV3 Q Point Show, more often than not, there is one NPP rep and 5 NDC representatives camouflaged by the use of pro-NDC lectures and analysts who appear on the show. General, I need not point out that this is a grand agenda by the owners and management of Media General to give John Mahama an undue advantage as we approach the 2024 election. Nti Kamia said John Dramani Mahama and akwakohye Media General for chi say efiri na ekɔ emu nso mu stations no na momfa promote NDC amanyɔkuo ne nneɛma moma NPP de ne nye few da bia wɔn de wayɛ bɔne da bia NPP NDC amanyɔkuo no ɛna yɛ solution of the problem a wɔn etirem sɛ okopie mu ɛwɔ TV3 the key point a ɛkame yɛ sɛ ɔbɛkɔ no ne nipa ɛte wɔ yɛ 6 a NPP amanyɔkuo nipa baako pɛ ɛna ɛwɔ mu wɔn a aka nyinaa yɛ NDC ɛna wɔn ɛfire government yi ɛnya asɛm kotoa day in and day out nyinaa na okopie mu onua TV koraa deɛ a Captain Smart deɛ ayɛ ana ɛnya asɛm kotoa ayɛ ana ha adwene. Putting it simply, Media General has become a propaganda outfit for the NDC. It is a pro-Mahama entity and must be left to remain so by not sending our communicators to their platforms. Sir, our communicators do not need to dwell among such fiendish elements and scavengers in order to promote the works of our government and the vision of our presidential candidate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Such toxic environment have no room for reasonable and sound argument and articulate of our political. Kindly withdraw our communicators. We should sever ties with Media General. It is a bent on undermining our effort whilst promoting the incompetent one, John Dramani Mahama. There are equally media houses and better television and radio stations where we can sell our candidate, promote his vision, and tell Ghanaians our story. We are the new patriotic party. We are able to survive in the dark days of our democracy. We shall smoothly triumphate in the face of this deliberate effort by Media General in cohort with the NDC to dwarf us onto the sidelines. What is the essence of patronizing a media outlet and its affiliate when all they do is to go great length and trouble to make us look bad in the eyes of the public? Let us boycott the program. Nti NPP amanyɔkuo no nso ani abere paa sɛ wɔanyɛ very careful a wɔn ɛbɛtena hɔ na NDC amanyɔkuo no ɛne John Dramani Mahama foɔ ahyehyɛ Media General akyi sɛ ana wɔn ɛde mfofo adane wɔn kwaeɛ because asɛm no koraa sɛ yɛka no sɛ NPP communicator team a yɛma ne nka bio ɔno nko ade na no tum a na host na bisa no question ɔyɛ so ɔkasa na host na bisa no question nti deɛ ɔkɔɔ hɔ a ɔno pɛ sɛ ɔkyerɛkyerɛ mu no afei wobɛhu sɛ ɔnsɔre program no so no yɛma no 10 minutes a yɛde mu 5 minutes abisa no question 5 minutes ne nso na NDC amanyɔkuo nipa no a ɔte hɔ no nso ɛde interrupting nti at the end of the day ɔntumi nka hwee but sɛ NDC amanyɔkuo no tisim sɛ wɔn ɛkasa a ɛneɛ wobɛhu sɛ host no koraa ɛbisa wɔn question bi nti ɛbrɛ du sɛ ɛwɔ sɛ wɔn nso etu anamɔ fa ho ansa koraa na asɛm no ayɛ too late.
Quickly.
Yesterday, I advised him.
Yeah.
He didn't take it.
What did you tell him?
I told him that he should be cautious in putting people's integrity on the line when his facts can be questioned.
Okay. Let's question the
Because,
facts.
you see, thankfully, you are a lawyer. You made a categorical allegation on your program with Nsem-Pii that Rock City made losses in 2023. It turns out that Rock City has not even filed its annual returns for 2023. They have written to the GRA tax office sought an extension for them to file their corporate accounts, where you see their profit and loss and the taxes that they pay.
You clearly are not reading the document.
Please, I will come there. And I will expose the deception.
Please don't interrupt him. Let's hear him.
Oh, you go ahead.
They've written a letter to the tax office to extend it to end of June. So they haven't filed for 2023. So how do you determine that they made losses in 2023? You go and take this document.
Here, he hasn't said they made loss. He points out that they indicated that they were not going to make profit.
Yes. Read page 1 of 14 of 2023. Read it.
You see,
they went to GRA.
I recall when he said it. I said
this whole
making profit is not the same as making profit.
Exactly.
You see, withholding tax credit form, 12 February, 8 March 2024. This is the select
20th April
assessment year. February, withholding tax all through. You go to page 2, withholding tax. Is it profit and loss?
You give me one.
Go to 20th April 2023. I thought
Samson, withholding tax. Withholding tax.
Okay.
Withholding tax, page 3. Then you come.
Okay.
CIT, because the withholding tax, right, is what is used to offset whatever profits that you make. And so you look at the corporate tax income CIT totals, 543,791. He says this demonstrates that company has made losses. Go to the next page, PAYE. Then this is what they've paid January, February, March, and the total pay as you earn total for the up to May is 256. Then the next column, withholding tax.
Income tax, and you are talking about withholding tax.
Where is the corporate income tax? They have not filed their accounts
entry
for
number
2020.
5.
Entry number what?
They went to the GRA.
Were you there? Does it say so?
Yes, 20th April.
What?
Why? Are you?
Read it.
Are you blind?
Read it.
20th April 2023. The process returns for 2023. Reference number C006446833 R001. They told the GRA they anticipate that they will not make profit in 2023.
You can interpret this to mean
yes, that's what it means.
GRA.
Yes, that is what it is. That's what the entry is.
Thankfully,
read the document.
Not a problem. You can do your propaganda.
I mean, you keep shifting the goalposts.
Look,
first you say I have nothing.
Because
there are no documents.
Look at it. You see withholding tax totals. You see value added tax standard totals.
Okay, corporate
this is the document that you are holding. NHIS Get Fund COVID-19 totals.
But the entry clearly says it's not going to make profit.
It's not going to make profit.
That's what he's saying.
No,
which I say it's not the same as making a loss.
Yes.
Where does it say so? Unless I don't understand English. He says process returns for 2024. Does it say that I'm not making losses or I'm making profit? Is that the interpretation of these words?
That is it. That you will not make profit for the year.
Are you serious?
That's what it is. You haven't made profit for the first quarter. But you don't anticipate that you make profit.
In any event,
he speaks about the filing.
Yes.
He speaks about the filing which they went back to update.
Not the problem.
Where initially they said they were not going to make profit, and then went back and said we think we are making something, so change that for us.
Okay.
You are a corporate lawyer. You work with GRA. You work for companies that work with GRA. Every year they make an assessment of your taxes and apply it up front.
That's correct.
So you can't go assuming, and I'm not speaking to this because I don't have the facts.
Yeah.
So you can't go and challenge the assessment that they made that, hey, per my operations.
You certainly can.
Yeah, you can.
Does it show that you are profitable or unprofitable at that point?
Okay, that's a point I
because you can only establish the profitability when they file their annual returns.
The company you speak for,
and they have not filed it.
Where did they get their tax clearance certificate to participate in the bid? Where did they get it from?
Ask the issuer, not me.
You are speaking for the
because tax clearance,
he raised an issue.
They pay taxes, pay as you earn.
Where is the tax clearance certificate?
VAT, all of it is in the document that he is holding. This document that he gave me yesterday, you can have a copy and glance through.
No, but he's pointing to in May when they filed 2022.
See.
And in 2021, which was filed in 2023. So the question is, at the time they were putting in the bid, did they have a tax clearance certificate, valid one for the period?
But if it was part of the eligibility criteria, then you expect that, look,
it is always standard. It's always tax, snakes, they are always standard.
I agree.
Yeah. But we take them and we disqualify.
So for you and I, who only pay PAYE,
right?
If you go for a tax clearance certificate, it will indicate whether you've paid those your personal income taxes.
Right.
For companies that pay as you earn, who pay VAT, who pay
Withholding.
NHIS, who pay all of that. They will indicate in the columns the taxes that you've paid on each item and for the period.
Only when you have filed your returns.
Oh,
In this case, you
hold on,
didn't
Sammy,
file your
hold on.
returns.
But you see, withholding tax
Okay,
is filed monthly.
We are not being fair to our guests on the
VAT
line.
is filed monthly.
Okay.
Your profit,
This is deliberate-
corporate
deliberate
income tax.
obfuscation.
I'm speaking to fact.
Deliberate
And you know
Please,
it.
please don't interject him that way.
Corporate income tax returns is filed annually.
That's correct.
And I'm saying to you, for the record, that the assertion that you made on your show with Nsem-Pii that in 2023, Rock City made losses is false.
Okay.
Bank had met it. EcoBank, obviously, because it's a big boy, had sufficient enough capital. But Snake took a decision that wanted to merge all the three. The only reason why First Atlantic was not part of that measure was because the chief executive at the time, Mr. Judata, had made a representation to the board of First Atlantic with Snake representatives, in fact, shareholders of First Atlantic, that look, he does not object to First Atlantic participating in any measure. However, capitalize the bank so that the bank can go into those measure discussions on an equal footing with TTB and EcoBank. Samson, we had started the capitalization quest as far back as 2009. SNIT, the largest shareholder at the time, was never interested in putting any money in First Atlantic Bank anymore. But because of that representation, the next day they submitted a check to pay for additional equity in First Atlantic to enable them dispose of it to EcoBank. Coincidentally, we had engaged EM Capital, headed by Mr. Michael Sean, to help us capitalize the bank. And they had submitted some investment proposal from Kedari nominees from Nigeria. That shareholders meeting, when they approved the acquisition of shares by SNET, which would have taken them to 90% holding in the bank, also approved the Kedari transaction. And so, post that approval of those two investments, SNET's stake reduced to less than 50%, such that they could not force the measure between First Atlantic, TTB, and EcoBank. That's why they went ahead to do the measure with only EcoBank and Trust Bank. And subsequently used the Bank of Ghana to hoodwink Kedari to buy SNET out as part of the approval process, because significant shareholding, you need Bank of Ghana approval before your shareholding can be accepted. But it was an investment decision that SNET had taken at the time, that they were no longer interested in investing in banks because it was not returning sufficient enough return according to them to the fund. Subsequently, in 2013, they did the same thing to Merchant Bank, where they sold SNET's majority stake in Merchant Bank to Fortis. In 2020, 2022, 2023, they decide that, look, these hotels that we have significant investments in, per the document that they've issued, is not generating sufficient enough return to the fund. And so they were disposing of their interest, or at least a significant part of it, to a strategic investor, so that SNET can reduce its risk in those hotels. They go through a public tender, and all of a sudden that becomes an issue. How consistent are we? In any event, Samson, I'm sure you contribute to the SNET pension fund.
Of course.
I do as well. Samokuje told us, is it prudent for the contributions that we make to be invested in banks that are not paying any dividends to our fund? And at the very least, if they were making a return of 1.5%, you will support the board of SNET to keep holding that investment and keep putting money in it? I certainly will not.
The suggestion is you don't have to sell. You don't have to divest your interest.
So what do you do?
What you do, change course,
Haven't
change
they?
management.
Haven't they? Haven't they in the past and yielded no result?
So something is certainly wrong.
Absolutely. But what are they doing?
If a private investor can see the profits, in the entity that is going downhill, then there's something good in there.
I agree. I happen to work in the public service now, coming from a private sector background.